The greatest Doc Marten struggle of all time is the break-in process. Anybody who's owned a pair knows that if you don't break in your Docs before wearing them, you're gonna have a lot of pain and bloodshed. Now, I've made quite a few videos talking about this pain and also how you can properly break in your Docs the right way. But every time I post one of these videos, I get a lot of comments about other weird ways to break in your Doc Martens. I usually just ignore these comments, or sometimes I'll try to explain to them how this method can actually damage your Docs. But then I realized that I've never actually tried any of these methods, so how do I know for sure that they don't work or that they will damage your Docs? So today I'm going to try all these wrong ways to break in Doc Martens and review them for you guys. I have all of these unbroken in Docs in the same size and style. I didn't want to go and buy a bunch of new Docs that I wasn't going to wear just for this video, so I did buy them secondhand, but they're very lightly used and still not broken in yet. So how this is going to work is I'm going to try to break in each of these pairs of Docs, and then I'm going to attempt to walk a mile on a treadmill in them. Afterwards, I'll reveal all the methods based off the damage they did to the Docs, as well as the pain I was in while trying to walk that mile. Quite possibly the only thing I retain from any of my high school science classes is that every experiment needs a control. So before I even try breaking in any of these Docs, I'm going to walk a mile on the treadmill without breaking them in at all. Wish me luck, I guess.
"15 minutes later."
Well, I just went 0.6 miles in unbroken Docs and my ankles are literally killing me right now. I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the first test and just pray that it works, because if not, I'm going to be in a lot of pain at the end of this video. For my first experiment, I put my Docs in the freezer. How this is supposed to work is you basically fill up 2 Ziploc bags full of water and you put them inside of the shoes. I made sure that my Ziplocs were sealed very tightly so no water could fall out and ruin the shoes. The idea behind this is that the water will expand when it freezes and therefore expand the leather as well. I didn't measure out how much water I put in, but I started with a lot and emptied it until it just barely fit. I've seen this method all over TikTok, but I've definitely had my doubts, so I'm really interested to see how it turns out. It's going to take a while for the water to freeze, so while I'm waiting, I decided to change because I realized that walking for miles in a heavy sweater is probably not the best decision. After about 10 hours, I got the Docs out of the freezer and they were hard as a rock. I had to unlace the shoes and pull pretty hard to get them out. I was disappointed that some water got on them, even though I was super careful with the bags. Luckily, it didn't damage them, but if I had left them in too long, it definitely could have. Okay, so I currently have the freezer Docs on my feet, and I'm not gonna lie, they're very cold right now, and I'm not feeling too confident that they broke in because they honestly feel the exact same as when I originally wore these, but I'm gonna give this method the benefit of the doubt and just try them anyway. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even make it 0.6 miles this time. My feet are hurting so bad. Probably made it like 0.4, I think it said. I don't know. I've seen that trick all over TikTok, so I really thought that it would have worked, and maybe I just did it wrong, but that did not break in my Doc Martens at all. And if anything, it might have damaged them because of the water it left on there. Next, I'm going to try and break in my Docs with an oven. I'm kind of scared for this one because I think it's going to end up melting the Docs a little bit, so I'm definitely going to watch it very carefully and make sure that it doesn't get too hot or that the Docs don't stay in there too long. Basically, what this is supposed to do is heat up the leather a little bit and make it easier to mold to your foot. I really have no idea if this is going to work or not. I'm thinking it's just going to damage the leather, but I guess we'll find out. I put the Docs on a baking sheet with parchment paper in case they did melt. This part was really weird because it felt like I was baking cookies, but if the cookies cost $170 and were made of leather and rubber. I set the oven to 200 degrees and baked the Docs. I can't believe I just said that. I baked the Docs for about 20 minutes. Luckily, when I took them out, they hadn't melted. So far, they feel really, really nice on my feet. It's like when you take fresh clothes out of the dryer and put them on. They're super warm and cozy, but I guess we'll find out if it actually broke them in or not. Well, if I'm being honest, didn't really feel like anything happened there. I walked about the same amount as when I didn't break them in at all, about 0.6 miles, and they started killing my ankles again. So I can't really say that the oven method worked at all, honestly. And I think if I had left them in there any longer than I did, they probably would have started melting. So I'm just gonna say that that method does not work, and it's very high risk for very, very little reward, because if you end up melting your $200 pairs of shoes, then I feel like it really wasn't worth it. I think I'm gonna wait until tomorrow to finish doing the other experiments, just because since I've walked in 3 pairs of docks at this point, I feel like if I keep walking in more of them, even if I do break them in, it might still hurt me, just because my ankles are already hurting. So I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I'm back for part 2 of murdering my ankles. So my ankles do feel a little bit better, but I'm gonna be honest, they are still hurting a little bit, so I had to put some band-aids and double socks on them, but I don't think that'll affect the results too much. So our third test is going to be using a hammer to break in Doc Martens. So I guess what you're supposed to do is wrap the docks in a towel so you don't damage the leather, hopefully, and then just beat the crap out of them with a hammer and hope it breaks them in. Well, I got my hammer and a little towel. I wanted to choose one that was still protective enough but not too thick where the hammer wouldn't do anything. So I just dropped the ankle and heel area because those are the spots that usually cause me the most trouble. There's not very much to explain here because I literally just sat there hammering a shoe for like 5 minutes. I actually think it's kind of working because this is getting really squished in. And then the one I haven't done yet, I can't even push it in at all. I didn't hit them super hard, but I could definitely tell it was making a difference. Okay, it's time to test my hammered in Doc Martens. The leather is actually fine on these. You can tell there is a little bit more creasing than before, but I feel like that would have happened if you broken them in anyway. So as far as not damaging the docks, this method has been successful so far, and I guess I'll find out for you if it actually broke them in or not. Well guys, I'm excited to announce that I finally had a break-in method make it to the 1 mile mark on the treadmill. I can't believe it took this long and this many tries to finally get one of the methods to work, but I guess hammering in your Doc Martens does help. I will say that you should be careful if you do try this method because I only hit it for about 5 minutes and it still creased the leather a little bit, so if you hit it too long or in the wrong spots, it could definitely damage the leather if you're not careful. But yeah, this is the first wrong method that I've tried that has actually worked. So maybe it's not so wrong after all. So it's time for test number 4. I'm going to be showering in a pair of Doc Martens. A few tricks I've heard are mostly from the military, I think, but it's to either shower or pee on your Doc Martens, and obviously I would rather not do the latter, so I'm going to be hopping in the shower with a pair of Docs today. If I'm being honest, I really think this is just gonna damage the leather, but you never know till you try. So we are currently in my bathroom, and I think what I'm gonna do is turn the water on pretty hot and then just kind of leave my Docs under it while I'm wearing them for I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes and see if it works. I turned the heat all the way up and stood in a spot where I wouldn't get wet but my Docs would. I mostly just stood in the same spot and let the water soak in, but I also moved the shoes around a little bit to get the sides wet as well. The water steamed a lot because it was so hot, so I couldn't record the entire time, but I ended up leaving them in there for around 10 minutes. Obviously they were soaked, but the leather didn't seem damaged at all. So it's time to test out the shower method of breaking in Doc Martens, and I'm actually pretty confident about this one because they feel a lot comfier than when I originally wore them before getting into the shower. And since my last method actually worked, I feel like this one could too. So let's give it a try. After about 0.85-ish miles, I couldn't take the pain anymore and had to get off the treadmill. So it really led me on, and I thought I was going to make it the full mile. I guess maybe it would have worked better if I had showered in them longer, or if I could somehow turn the heat up more. I don't really know, but I don't really recommend this method just because even though it did pretty much work to break them in, I just don't think it's worth the risk of damaging your leather by getting it too hot or wet. Okay, it's finally time for our 5th and final wrong way to break in Doc Martens. This is actually one that I've gotten a few comments for over the years, and I never took it seriously until I saw a TikTok recently where someone actually tried it, and I'm honestly so nervous to do this because I just know it's gonna destroy the Docs. I'm gonna run over a pair of Doc Martens with my car. Yeah, I really don't doubt that these will be broken in, but I just know that they're gonna get destroyed when I run them over, so I'm really scared to do it. But you know, if this works for other people, then maybe it'll work for me too. Okay. Oh boy. I'm a little nervous. Okay. Hopefully it's okay. Guys, I think I just committed a murder. You can definitely see the tire marks on them and dust from my driveway. It mostly wiped off, but there was still a lot of scratches and scuffs in the leather, which is really disappointing because these were in brand new condition before. Okay, moment of truth. Let's find out if running over a pair of dogs with my car actually broke them in or not. Okay, so I just got off the treadmill and my results were very similar to last time. I got about 0.8-ish miles before I couldn't stand walking anymore. And I think that this could have definitely worked if I had run them over multiple times. But after seeing the damage it did to them just after one time, I'm really glad that I didn't do this method all the way because I definitely would have completely ruined this pair of dogs. So I guess if you do want to try this method and are completely fine with ruining your shoes, you could easily just run them over a few times and it would probably work out great for you. But I, on the other hand, do not just want to waste $200 by running it over with my car when I could just break them in a much less risky way. Okay, so after doing so many wrong ways to break in Doc Martens, I'm really excited to finally show you guys how I break them in the right way. There's no risk in damaging your dogs and it makes your dogs more comfortable 100% of the time. So what I will do is I'll just wear 2 pairs of long socks, and the thicker the socks the better because it'll provide more cushioning for your feet. And if necessary, I'll also wear Band-Aid on spots where the Doc Martens tend to rub more. And then I'll just start off by wearing them around the house for a couple days. So that way it kind of just slowly molds into your feet without having to walk a really long distance, because when you walk a long distance without breaking them in gradually, that's what ends up hurting your feet. So I'm just gonna wear these Docs around the house, and in a couple days I'm gonna test this method on the treadmill. So I guess I'll see you guys in 2 days, or I guess like 2 seconds for you guys. I've been wearing these for the last couple days and they're really comfy, so I'm pretty sure I know how this is gonna go already, but I'm still gonna walk a mile just to test my method out. Well, I just walked about a mile and unsurprisingly, I have no blisters or pain at all. I probably could have gone farther too if I wasn't lazy. Obviously I already knew this was gonna work because I used this method to break in all my Doc Martens, but this right way to break in Doc Martens was a success. Well guys, that concludes the video for today. With the blisters I gained from this video, I'm probably not gonna be able to wear my Doc Martens for at least a week, so that'll be fun. And I guess the moral of the story is the wrong ways to break in Doc Martens can actually work, but they come with the risk of damaging your dogs. And when you're paying $200 or more for a pair of shoes, is it really worth it to do that when you could just break it in the right way? I don't know, it just doesn't seem worth it, at least to me. Also, there are other good ways to break in your Doc Martens that don't risk damaging them, so let me know if you want to see another video where I go over all of those methods, so that way you have an option of different ways to break in different types of Doc Martens. And also, I spent quite a bit of money on Doc Martens for this video, as well as went through a lot of pain to make this for you guys. So if you could drop a like on this video, comment, maybe even subscribe if you halfway enjoyed it, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.